The morning sun of Beta cast long shadows across the metal corridors of the Galactic Defense Academy. Students from dozens of worlds walked through the halls, their different forms creating a strange parade of life. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 4 or 6. Some floated in special suits filled with gas, while others moved on wheels or slithered across the floor. In Lecture Hall 7, Commander stood behind a metal podium. His 4 arms moved as he prepared his teaching materials. His dark blue skin reflected the room's lights, and his large compound eyes watched the students enter. Had served in 3 galactic wars and survived battles that killed entire ship crews. Today, he would teach these young soldiers about the most dangerous places in the galaxy. The students took their seats in rows that curved around the speaking area. Each seat was built to fit different body types. Near the back, a group of cadets sat together. Their bodies looked like living crystal, clear and sharp. Light passed through them and made rainbow colors on the walls. They spoke to each other in high, musical sounds. In the middle rows, several Titan-class warriors took up extra space. Each one stood nearly 3 meters tall, with thick gray skin and muscles that could bend steel bars. Their deep voices rumbled when they talked, and the floor shook slightly when they moved. The students floated in their environmental suits near the ceiling. Their gas-like bodies swirled inside the clear containers, changing colors from blue to green to purple. Thin mechanical voices came from speakers on their suits when they needed to communicate. Near the front, smaller species sat in regular-sized chairs. There were Quicksilver scouts with silver skin that moved like liquid metal. A few students sat with their insect-like features and multiple arms, and scattered among them were beings from dozens of other worlds. In the very front row, a human sat quietly. Alex looked ordinary compared to the other students. He was average height with dark hair and brown eyes. His uniform fit him properly, but he seemed small next to the massive aliens around him. He carried a simple tablet and stylus for taking notes. While other students talked loudly about their and military families, Alex stayed quiet and watched. Commander's mandibles clicked together, creating a sound that meant the lesson would begin. The room became silent. "Today we will study planetary classification systems," said. His voice was clear and strong. "The Galactic Survey Corps has visited over 10,000 worlds in our sector. Each planet receives a danger rating based on environmental threats, hostile life forms, and survival requirements." He touched a control panel, and a large display screen appeared behind him. Images of different planets began to show, some with purple skis, others with multiple moons, and many that looked nothing like the worlds most students called home. "Class A worlds are garden planets," the commander continued. "Perfect atmospheres, safe gravity, no dangerous predators. Most civilized species could live on these worlds without protection gear. Class B and C worlds require some adaptation but remain safe for most galactic citizens." Pictures showed beautiful planets with blue skis and green forests. Students nodded as they recognized similar environments from their own peaceful. "Class D through F worlds present increasing challenges," explained. "Higher radiation levels, extreme temperatures, or atmospheric compositions that require protective equipment. Military personnel train on these worlds to build endurance and survival skills." The images now showed planets with red skis, frozen oceans, and strange rock formations. Some students took notes while others seemed bored. This information was basic knowledge for anyone planning a military career. "Class G and H worlds are designated as hostile environments," the commander said, his tone becoming more serious. "These planets can kill unprepared visitors within hours. Toxic atmospheres, crushing gravity, or deadly weather systems make extended survival extremely difficult." Now the pictures showed truly alien places. One planet had gravity so strong that even Titans would struggle to stand. Another had acid rain that could eat through most protective suits in minutes. Several students shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Beyond Class H, we reach what the Survey Corps calls the forbidden categories, continued. Class X worlds represent the absolute limits of hostile environments. These are planets so dangerous that even brief exposure means certain death for most galactic species. The screen went dark for a moment, then showed a warning symbol, a skull surrounded by sharp triangles. Class X worlds are studied only through remote sensors and robotic probes, the commander explained. Direct exploration missions have never returned survivors. The few probe recordings we have show environments beyond imagination, gravity fields that would crush starship hulls, temperatures that would boil metal, or predator ecosystems so aggressive that even our combat mechs would be destroyed. Alex wrote something in his notebook but showed no other reaction. Around him, other students whispered to each other about the terrifying descriptions. "I have fought in deep space battles," said, his 4 arms spreading wide. "I have survived ship explosions and walked on airless moons, but I would rather face an entire enemy fleet than spend 1 hour on a Class X." A student named Sharpedge raised one crystalline arm. "Commander, surely these classifications are theoretical. No planet could truly be so hostile that trained soldiers could not survive with proper equipment." His compound eyes focused on the crystal being. "Cadet Sharpedge, I understand your confidence. Your species has natural advantages, resistance to temperature extremes, ability to filter most toxins, and crystalline strength that rivals our best armor. But Class X worlds are not merely dangerous. They are antithetical to life itself." "With respect, sir," Sharpedge continued, "they have colonized 17 different planet types. Our engineering corps has built cities in environments that other species consider impossible. A simple survival exercise seems manageable." Other students murmured agreement. The massive titans nodded their heads, confident in their incredible strength. They swirled faster in their suits, eager to discuss their own adaptability. Even some of the smaller species seemed to think the classifications were too extreme. Commander watched this display of youthful confidence with what might have been amusement. His mandibles clicked softly. "Very well," he said. "Tomorrow I will show you classified Survey Corps footage from our most recent Class X reconnaissance mission. The planet designation is simply Earth. After you see what killed our probe teams, we will discuss whether any cadet in this room could survive 72 hours on its surface." In the front row, Alex stopped writing and looked up at the screen for the first time during the entire lecture. The next morning, Lecture Hall 7 was completely full. Word had spread through the academy about Commander's promise to show footage from a Class X world. Students who normally skipped lectures crowded into extra seats. Some stood along the walls, and several floated near the ceiling in their environmental suits. Alex sat in the same front row seat as before. He had arrived early and spent the waiting time reading from his tablet. Other students around him talked excitedly about what they might see, but Alex remained quiet and focused on his studies. Commander entered the room carrying a secure data case. His 4 arms moved quickly as he connected the device to the main display system. Red warning lights appeared around the screen, indicating classified military material. "What you are about to see is restricted to Level 7 clearance and above," announced. "The Galactic Survey Corps has authorized this viewing for educational purposes only. No recordings or transmissions are permitted during this presentation." The room fell silent. Even the most confident cadets understood the seriousness of classified briefings. The screen activated and showed a starship approaching a blue and green planet. The world looked beautiful from space, with white clouds swirling over blue oceans and brown continents. Several students relaxed slightly. It appeared no different from dozens of safe garden worlds they had seen. "Survey probe designation Alpha 77 approached this Class X world 6 months ago," explained. Initial scans showed what appeared to be a garden planet with abundant water and vegetation. The probe team prepared for a standard resource survey. The view changed to show the probe ship entering the planet's atmosphere. Instruments displayed readings that made several students gasp. The atmospheric pressure was much higher than galactic standard. The oxygen concentration would be toxic to most species. Gravity readings showed a pull that would crush many of the smaller beings in the room. Atmospheric analysis revealed a corrosive mixture that would destroy unprotected organic tissue in minutes, the commander continued. The gravity field measures 1.5 times galactic standard, enough to strain even Titan-class physiology over extended periods. A massive Titan student shifted uncomfortably in his reinforced seat. His species was known for incredible strength, but even they had limits. The probe's cameras showed the surface as it descended. Instead of the peaceful garden world it appeared from space, the surface revealed itself as something far more sinister. Massive storm systems moved across the continents, generating wind speeds that could tear apart most spacecraft. Lightning strikes hit the ground with the force of military weapons. The weather systems alone generate kinetic energy equivalent to orbital bombardment, said. Probe Alpha 77 had to use full power just to maintain stable flight in these conditions. The view changed to show the planet's life forms. What the students saw made them understand why this world earned its Class X designation. Massive creatures moved through the oceans, beings larger than battle cruisers with teeth like starship armor plating. On land, predators stalked through forests with speed that would challenge even Quicksilver scouts. Some hunted in packs, working together with intelligence that suggested advanced problem-solving abilities. These organisms show characteristics found only in the galaxy's most dangerous apex predators, explained. But on this world, they represent the common wildlife. The probe recorded over 300 distinct predator species in a single continental region. Sharpedge, the crystalline cadet, raised one arm. Commander, these creatures are impressive, but they appear to be simple organic life forms. Surely proper equipment and training would provide adequate protection. Other students murmured agreement. The creatures looked dangerous, but not beyond what a well-equipped military team might handle. Mandibles clicked in what the students were learning meant either amusement or concern. Observe the plant life, Cadet Sharpedge. The screen focused on what appeared to be a beautiful forest. Green plants covered the ground, and tall trees reached toward the sky. Colorful flowers bloomed in patches of sunlight. It looked peaceful and welcoming. Spectral analysis revealed that 90% of the vegetation contains chemical compounds toxic to galactic life, said. These toxins range from simple irritants to compounds that would shut down nervous system function in under 60 seconds. Many plants actively release these chemicals when disturbed. The peaceful forest suddenly looked very different. Every beautiful flower and green leaf became a potential weapon. The probe detected organisms too small to see without magnification, the commander continued. Microscopic predators that attack larger organisms from within. The air itself carries infectious agents that would overwhelm most immune systems. Several students looked at their own breathing apparatus with new concern. The idea of invisible predators in the air itself was terrifying. The footage continued, showing more horrors. Extreme temperature variations that would kill most species in hours. Radiation from the system's star that required constant protection. Tectonic activity that could split continents without warning. The probe mission was terminated when equipment failures made further exploration impossible, concluded. Total mission time on the surface, 4 hours and 17 minutes. Complete probe loss. The room was quiet as students processed what they had seen. This was beyond anything in their training or experience. Sharpedge stood up, his crystalline body reflecting the room's lights. Commander, I maintain that a properly trained military unit could establish a secure base on this world. The engineering corps has faced similar challenges. Give us appropriate equipment and 72 hours, and we would prove this planet can be conquered. Several other students voiced agreement. A group of Titans flexed their massive muscles, confident in their ability to handle any physical challenge. Cadets swirled faster in their suits, eager to test their adaptability against the hostile environment. The Survey Corps has designated this world as absolutely forbidden, said firmly. No military operation will ever be authorized on its surface. The classification is final and non-negotiable. But surely the designation is based on theoretical analysis, argued another student. No one has actually attempted a proper survival mission. How can we know the limits without testing them? Commander's forearms spread wide as he looked across the room full of confident young warriors. His compound eyes reflected the display screen's glow. I assure you, cadets, that no military academy graduate, regardless of species, training, or technological support, could survive 72 hours on that planet's surface, he stated with absolute certainty. This world represents the ultimate hostile environment. It is antithetical to civilized life as we understand it. Around the room, students from dozens of worlds began talking among themselves. Each species compared their natural advantages against the threats they had seen. They discussed their crystalline resilience. The Titans planned how their strength could overcome gravity and predators. The calculated atmospheric adjustments for their environmental suits. Through all of this debate and planning, Alex sat quietly in the front row. He had stopped taking notes and now simply watched the screen showing images of the deadly. His expression remained neutral, but something in his posture had changed. He sat more alert. When the display finally went dark and the classified warning lights turned off, students continued their heated discussions about survival strategies and species capabilities. None of them noticed the small human in the front row who had not said a single word about the planet that had terrified an entire lecture hall. None of them saw the tiny smile that briefly crossed Alex's face when the presentation ended. The debate in Lecture Hall 7 continued long after the official class time ended. Students from different worlds gathered in small groups, each convinced their species could succeed where the Survey Corps had failed. Voices grew louder as confidence turned to boasting. Near the back of the room, the cadets formed a circle of crystalline bodies that sparkled in the artificial light. Sharpedge stood in their center, gesturing dramatically with his crystal arms. The toxic atmosphere means nothing to us, he declared. Physiology filters harmful chemicals automatically. We have colonized gas giant moons with atmospheres far more corrosive than anything shown in that footage. His fellow hummed in agreement, their crystalline forms resonating with musical sounds of approval. Across the room, the Titan-class warriors had a different perspective. Granite Fist, the largest of their group, stood nearly 3 meters tall and weighed more than most small vehicles. His thick gray skin looked like living stone, and his voice rumbled like distant thunder. Gravity is meaningless to us, Granite Fist stated simply. We train on worlds with 3 times standard gravity. These predators they showed us are just animals. Animals can be broken. He demonstrated by gripping the metal rail of a nearby seat and bending it into a twisted spiral without apparent effort. They floated in their environmental suits near the ceiling, their gaseous bodies swirling in colors that showed excitement. Their mechanical translators converted their thoughts into spoken words. Atmospheric adaptation is our specialty, announced Cloud Dancer, their facto leader. We exist in environments that would kill solid matter beings instantly. Our suits can be modified for any chemical composition. This challenge is not beyond our capabilities. Smaller species joined the discussion with their own advantages. Quicksilver scouts boasted about their speed and reflexes. Cadets spoke of their multi-limbed coordination and enhanced senses. Even representatives from minor worlds found reasons to believe they could conquer the deadly planet. Commander watched this display with growing concern. His 4 arms moved restlessly as he considered how to respond to such dangerous overconfidence. These young soldiers had never faced true desperation or hopelessness. Their training had prepared them for victory, not impossible odds. In the front row, Alex gathered his tablet and stylus, preparing to leave. The debate had become repetitive, with each species simply listing their evolutionary advantages without considering the bigger picture. He stood quietly and took a step toward the exit. "The real question," Sharpedge announced loudly, "is whether the Academy will allow us to test our theories. I formally request permission to lead a survival mission to this Class X world. 72 hours should be sufficient to prove that proper training and equipment can overcome any environmental challenge." Other students voiced loud agreement. The room filled with demands for practical testing, survival challenges, and opportunities to prove their species' superiority. Commander's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of serious agitation among his species. "Cadets, this discussion has moved beyond educational value. No Academy authorization will ever be granted for missions to Class X worlds. The matter is not open for debate." "But Commander," interrupted Cloud Dancer, "how can military doctrine be based on theoretical assessments? Without practical testing, these classifications are merely educated guesses." "The classifications are based on comprehensive scientific analysis," replied firmly. "Multiple probe missions, extensive sensor data, and mathematical modeling all support the same conclusion. No cadet in this academy possesses the capabilities necessary for Class X survival." The room erupted in frustrated voices as students argued with their instructor and each other. Years of military training and species pride made it impossible for them to accept that any challenge could be truly impossible. Alex stopped walking and turned back toward the front of the room. He raised one hand in a simple gesture that somehow cut through the chaos. The small human had not said a single word during the entire debate, but something in his posture commanded attention. The room gradually became quiet as students noticed the still figure in the front row. "Commander," Alex said in a calm, clear voice, "I believe you may be operating under incomplete information about this planet's habitability." Commander's compound eyes focused on the small cadet. "Cadet, while I appreciate your academic curiosity, this assessment comes from the most advanced analysis in galactic history. The Survey Corps has studied thousands of worlds. Are you questioning their scientific methods?" Alex stepped back into the speaking area, moving with a fluid grace that none of the other students had noticed before. Every step seemed purposeful and controlled, like a predator moving through familiar territory. "Not questioning the science, sir," Alex replied, "just offering a different perspective on the data interpretation." Sharpedge's crystalline body reflected the room's lights as he turned to face the human. "Cadet, no offense intended, but your species lacks the physical advantages needed for extreme environment survival. Colony world humans are adapted for safe, controlled conditions." Other students murmured agreement. Humans were known throughout the galaxy as peaceful farmers and traders from the outer rim worlds. They were pleasant enough beings, but hardly the stuff of elite warriors. Alex looked around the room, making eye contact with students from dozens of different worlds. Something in his expression had changed completely. The quiet, unremarkable academy student was gone, replaced by someone who radiated quiet confidence. "You assume I'm from a colony world," Alex said simply. The room fell silent. Commander's 4 arms stopped moving completely. "Cadet," the commander said slowly, "your academy records indicate Terran colonial origin. Are you stating that this information is incorrect?" Alex took another step forward, now standing directly in front of the podium where loomed over him. Despite the massive size difference, the human somehow seemed to fill the space around him. "I'm not from a Terran colony, Commander," Alex said clearly. "Those are agricultural worlds, garden planets where humans have lived for centuries in safe, controlled environments." He paused, looking up at the massive alien warrior who had fought in galactic wars and survived battles that destroyed entire fleets. "I'm from Earth." The silence in the room was complete. No one moved, no one breathed, no one made any sound at all. The words hung in the air like a physical presence. Commander's mandibles clicked once, then stopped. His compound eyes stared down at the small human who had just claimed to be from the most dangerous planet in known space. "That's impossible," Sharpedge whispered, his crystalline voice barely audible. "No one lives on Class X worlds. No one can live on Class X worlds." Alex turned to face the cadet, and for the first time since entering the academy, he smiled. It was not a friendly expression. "I was born in a city called Vancouver," Alex said conversationally. "Raised in the Canadian Rocky Mountains. I learned to swim in water cold enough to stop most species' hearts. I hiked for weeks through forests where every plant and animal was designed to kill me. I played sports that would be classified as military combat training by galactic standards." Around the room, students from the galaxy's most advanced warrior species began to understand what they were hearing. The quiet cadet who had sat in the front row, taking notes and saying nothing, was not what he appeared to be. "What you call a Class X," Alex continued, his voice carrying easily through the stunned silence, "I call home." Commander, veteran of 3 galactic wars and survivor of countless battles, took a step backward from the podium. His 4 arms moved instinctively toward weapon positions that were empty in the Academy's academic environment. In the absolute quiet of Lecture Hall 7, Alex stood calmly in front of 300 of the galaxy's finest young warriors, all of whom were staring at him like he was the most dangerous thing they had ever encountered. Which they were beginning to realize he probably was. The silence stretched for long moments as 300 alien cadets tried to process what they had just heard. Alex stood quietly in front of them, no longer the invisible student from the Outer Rim colonies. He was something that should not exist, a native of the galaxy's most dangerous world. Sharpedge was the first to recover his voice. The crystalline cadet's body flickered with colors that showed confusion and disbelief. "This must be some kind of academy training exercise," Sharpedge declared. "No being could survive childhood on that." The footage showed toxic atmospheres, crushing gravity and predators that could destroy military equipment. Other students began murmuring agreement. The alternative was too incredible to accept. Humans were peaceful traders and farmers. They came from safe garden worlds where the biggest danger might be a mild storm or crop failure. Alex listened to their arguments with the same quiet patience he had shown throughout his time at the academy. When the voices died down, he spoke again. "Commander, with your permission, I would like to address some misconceptions about Earth's habitability." The 4-armed instructor stood frozen behind his podium. His compound eyes had not moved from the small human since the revelation. "Cadet, what exactly are you proposing?" "A practical demonstration," Alex replied simply. "The Academy's holographic training systems can recreate any environment from detailed sensor data. The Survey Core probe footage should provide sufficient information to build accurate Earth simulations." Granite Fist, the massive Titan warrior, stood up from his reinforced seat. His stone-like skin reflected the room's lights, and his voice rumbled like distant earthquakes. "You claim to be from that nightmare world," the Titan said slowly. "Prove it. Show us how a small colony could survive where trained warriors would die." Alex turned to face the giant alien who could probably lift a ground vehicle over his head. "I accept your challenge, Granite Fist, but I propose we modify the parameters slightly." He looked around the room at the assembled representatives of galactic warrior species. Instead of military survival scenarios, let me recreate some basic activities from my childhood. Simple things that human children do for fun. Sharpedge's crystalline laugh sounded like breaking glass. Children's activities. Cadet, if you wish to embarrass yourself with games, we are willing to observe. Excellent, Alex said with that same calm smile. Commander, do you have authorization to use Training Room Alpha for practical demonstrations? Clicked his mandibles nervously. Cadet, the training rooms are designed for advanced military exercises. Using classified probe data to recreate Class X environments could be extremely dangerous. Only if you're not from there originally, Alex replied. 20 minutes later, the entire lecture hall had relocated to Training Room Alpha. The massive chamber could simulate any environment in the galaxy using holographic projectors and atmospheric controls. Safety barriers protected observers while participants faced realistic environmental challenges. Alex stood in the center of the room while technicians uploaded the Earth probe data to the simulation systems. Around the observation deck, cadets from dozens of species watched with a mixture of excitement and skepticism. First simulation, Alex announced. A nature walk through British Columbia's coastal forest region. This is something I did regularly as a child, often alone. The training room transformed around him. Tall evergreen trees materialized, their branches reaching toward a gray sky. Moss-covered fallen logs and ferns grew thick on the forest floor. The air became humid and filled with the scent of vegetation and earth. Environmental readings appeared on displays around the observation deck. Students gasped as they saw the atmospheric composition oxygen levels that would be toxic to most galactic species. Atmospheric pressure that would strain cardiovascular systems. Humidity levels that would overwhelm most respiratory adaptations. The simulation is fully active, announced the technician. Environmental parameters match probe data exactly. Alex began walking along a forest trail that appeared among the trees. He moved with easy confidence, stepping over roots and ducking under branches. His breathing remained normal and relaxed. Who would like to try this basic human childhood activity? Alex called up to the observation deck. Sharpedge stepped forward immediately. Physiology is specifically adapted for hostile environments. A simple walk should present no difficulties. The crystalline being was transferred into the simulation through the safety transport system. As soon as he materialized beside Alex, his body began showing signs of distress. The high humidity caused condensation to form on his crystal surfaces. The atmospheric pressure made his internal structures vibrate with harmonic stress. Within 30 seconds, Sharpedge's body was flickering with warning colors. "Transport me out," he requested through gritted teeth. "The atmospheric composition is interfering with my structural integrity." Alex continued his peaceful walk as the cadet was removed from the simulation. "The oxygen concentration here is actually lower than Earth's average," he explained conversationally. "This is considered a mild, pleasant environment for hiking." Granite Fist volunteered next. The massive Titan warrior entered the simulation with confidence, his stone-like skin offering protection against environmental challenges. But within minutes, the combination of humidity, atmospheric pressure, and gravity was causing problems. The forest's soft ground made his enormous weight a liability. His feet sank deep into earth and moss with every step. The thick air made his massive frame overheat quickly. Sweat began pouring from his gray skin as his body struggled to cool itself in the humid environment. "This is more difficult than anticipated," Granite Fist admitted, breathing heavily. "The gravitational field combined with atmospheric density is problematic." Alex paused beside a small stream and knelt to drink directly from the water. Several students in the observation deck made alarmed noises. The probe data had shown Earth's water to contain microorganisms and mineral concentrations dangerous to most galactic life. This stream water is completely safe by Earth standards, Alex explained as he stood up refreshed. I learned to identify clean water sources as a child. It's a basic survival skill. One by one, volunteers from different species attempted the simple forest walk. The environmental suits struggled with humidity control and atmospheric pressure regulation. Quicksilver scouts found their metal-based physiology reacting badly to the organic compounds in the air. Even smaller species adapted for harsh environments discovered that Earth's definition of mild weather was beyond their capabilities. Let me try something slightly more challenging, Alex said, as the latest volunteer was transported out of the simulation. The forest environment dissolved and reformed into a rocky mountainside covered with snow. Wind howled between jagged peaks, and the temperature readings showed levels that would freeze most organic fluids solid. "This is a winter camping trip in the Canadian Rockies," Alex announced. "My family did this every year for vacation when I was growing up, usually for a week or two at a time." He began setting up a simple tent using equipment that looked primitive by galactic standards. The wind tried to tear the fabric from his hands, but he worked with practiced efficiency. Snow began falling harder, and visibility dropped to just a few meters. "The temperature is currently minus 20 degrees Celsius, the technician announced. "Atmospheric pressure has dropped due to altitude. Wind speeds are reaching 40 kilometers per hour. Alex finished setting up his campsite and began gathering wood for a fire. He moved through the blizzard like it was nothing more than a minor inconvenience. "Any volunteers for winter camping?" he called cheerfully. No hands went up in the observation deck. The environmental readings alone were enough to show that most species would suffer severe damage within minutes of exposure. "Perhaps something even more basic," Alex suggested. The mountain environment faded and was replaced by a large body of dark blue water under cloudy skies. Waves rolled across the surface, and the air carried the salt smell of an ocean. "This is Lake Superior, one of the Great Lakes in North America," Alex explained. "Every summer, my friends and I would spend entire days swimming and playing in the water." Without hesitation, he dove into the lake and began swimming with strong, confident strokes. The water temperature readings made several students gasp. It was cold enough to cause immediate shock to most galactic nervous systems. Alex swam for several minutes, then floated on his back looking up at the gray sky. "The water temperature is about 15 degrees Celsius, he said casually, "perfect for swimming on a warm summer day." In the observation deck, cadets from the galaxy's most advanced species sat in stunned silence. They were watching a being who treated deadly environmental hazards like pleasant recreational activities. Commander's 4 arms moved restlessly as he watched the displays. "Cadet, these environmental parameters would kill most Academy graduates within hours. How is this possible?" Alex climbed out of the lake and began toweling off with equipment from his campsite. "It's not possible, Commander. It's just normal. This is what humans call a pleasant day at the beach." He looked up at the observation deck, where 300 of the galaxy's finest warriors sat in absolute silence. "Earth isn't to humans," Alex said simply. "It's home. Every organism on the planet evolved to thrive in these conditions. We're not uniquely tough or specially adapted. We're just products of our environment." The training room returned to its neutral configuration as the simulation ended. Alex stood alone in the center of the chamber, looking completely comfortable and unaffected by environments that had challenged every other species present. "The difference," Alex continued, "is that you've all evolved on worlds that were relatively safe and predictable. Earth never gave us that luxury. Every day of human evolution was a fight against planetary conditions that would kill most galactic life instantly." He smiled, that same quiet smile they were learning meant something far more significant than simple friendliness. What you call impossible survival conditions, we call Tuesday. The news of Alex's demonstration spread through the Galactic Defense Academy like wildfire. Within hours, students from every department were requesting access to the training room recordings. Faculty members who had taught military theory for decades suddenly found themselves questioning fundamental assumptions about species capabilities and environmental adaptation. Commander sat in his private office, reviewing the simulation data for the 10th time. His 4 arms moved restlessly as he tried to process what he had witnessed. 3 galactic wars had taught him to respect the impossible, but this challenged everything he understood about life in the galaxy. A soft chime indicated someone was requesting entry. "Come," he called, not looking up from his display. Alex entered the office, moving with that same fluid grace that was no longer mysterious. After the demonstration, every movement seemed like controlled efficiency rather than simple walking. "You wanted to see me, Commander." His compound eyes focused on the young human who had turned his worldview upside down. "Cadet, I need to understand something. If humans are adapted to Class X survival conditions, why has your species been classified as peaceful agricultural colonists?" Alex took a seat in front of the commander's desk. "Because that's what most humans have become, sir. The colony worlds are garden planets where we've lived for centuries. After generations of safe, controlled environments, most humans have adapted to easier conditions. But you have not." "I'm from Earth," Alex said simply. "The original source. Humans who still live on the maintain the original adaptations because the environment still requires them." Leaned back in his chair, processing this information. "How many humans remain on Earth?" "About 8 billion last time I checked." The commander's mandibles clicked rapidly in shock. 8 billion. Our intelligence reports suggested Earth was uninhabitable wilderness with perhaps a few research stations. Alex smiled, that increasingly familiar expression. "Our cities are probably hard to spot from space if you don't know what to look for. We build them to survive hurricanes, earthquakes, and extreme weather. They're designed to blend with the natural environment rather than dominate it." A new chime indicated another visitor. This time Sharpedge entered, his crystalline body reflecting the office lights in subdued colors. "Commander Cadet," the said formally, "I have come to request something unusual." Gestured for him to continue. "I want to learn," Sharpedge said directly to Alex. "They have always prided ourselves on environmental adaptation. Watching you today showed me how limited our capabilities really are. I want to understand how humans develop such resilience." Alex studied the crystalline being thoughtfully. "It's not about being tough, Sharpedge. It's about being adaptable. Earth never let humans specialize too much in any one direction. We had to remain flexible because the environment was always changing." "Could you teach us?" Before Alex could answer, Commander's communication system activated. "Sir, we have 17 more requests for meetings with Cadet. Students from multiple departments want to learn about Earth-based training methods." Over the following weeks, the Academy underwent a fundamental transformation. Alex found himself appointed as an unofficial instructor, teaching courses that no galactic military academy had ever offered before. In Training Room Alpha, he guided students through simulations based on human childhood activities. Simple tasks like hiking, swimming, and camping became advanced survival training for aliens who had never faced environmental challenges. "The key is not to fight the environment," Alex explained to a mixed group of cadets struggling through a simulated rainstorm. "Work with it, understand what it's trying to do, and adapt your approach accordingly." Granite Fist, the massive Titan warrior, was learning to move through forest terrain without leaving an obvious trail. His natural strength remained impressive, but he was discovering finesse and adaptability. Sharpedge and his companions were studying human problem-solving approaches. Their crystalline perfection was powerful but inflexible. Learning to accept imperfect solutions that worked was revolutionary for their species. They had requested modifications to their environmental suits based on human respiratory efficiency. Cloud Dancer spent hours studying how humans could function in diverse atmospheric conditions with nothing but their natural biology. Commander watched these developments with growing amazement. Academy training records showed improvement rates that should have been impossible. Students who learned Alex's adaptation techniques became better soldiers, better explorers, and better survivors. The changes went beyond individual improvement. Academy doctrine began incorporating human-developed concepts of environmental integration and adaptive thinking. The rigid specialization that had defined galactic military training for centuries was giving way to more flexible approaches. 3 months after the first demonstration, Alex received a message that would cement his new role at the Academy. "Cadet, report to Admiral's office immediately," came the announcement during morning training. Admiral was the Academy's commanding officer, a veteran with 6 arms and a reputation for absolute efficiency. Her office overlooked the Academy's main training grounds, where hundreds of cadets practiced combat maneuvers. "Cadet," Admiral said without preamble, "the Galactic High Command has reviewed your training innovations. They want to establish a formal exchange program with Earth." Alex blinked in surprise. "An exchange program, Admiral?" "Human instructors at our military academies, galactic officers training on Earth. The High Command believes that human adaptation techniques could revolutionize our military effectiveness." She activated a holographic display showing star charts and shipping routes. "We need to establish formal diplomatic contact with Earth's government. How do we contact your planetary leadership?" Alex thought for a moment. "I could send a message to my family. My sister attends university in Toronto, that's one of our major cities. She could contact the appropriate government officials." "Your sister?" "Sarah, she's studying environmental engineering. Actually, now that I think about it, she might be perfect for this. Her class just finished a project designing cities that can withstand Category 5 hurricanes." Admiral's 6 arms moved in gestures of confusion. Category 5 hurricanes. "Storm systems with wind speeds over 200 kilometers per hour, Alex explained casually. "Standard building codes on Earth require structures to survive them without major damage." The Admiral's arm stopped moving entirely. "Your sister's university class designs cities to withstand military-grade wind weapons, as a school project." "Well, yes. Hurricane seasons happen every year. You have to build appropriately." That evening, Alex sat in his quarters composing a message to Earth. Around him, the Academy hummed with activity as students from across the galaxy trained, using techniques developed by children on a. His communication device chimed with an incoming message. The sender information made him smile. "Sarah, University of Toronto." "Hey Alex, how's Space Military School? My engineering class just got back from a weekend camping trip in Algonquin Park. We had to build emergency shelters during a thunderstorm. You know how Professor Martinez loves practical applications. The storm was pretty intense, but everyone did great. Lightning struck about 50 meters from our campsite, but the Faraday cage design worked perfectly." Alex shook his head in amusement. His sister's weekend camping trip would probably terrify half the Academy students. The message continued. "Oh, and guess what? Some government officials contacted the university today. Apparently, someone from the Galactic Defense something or other wants to discuss military cooperation. The professors are excited about potential research opportunities. Dad thinks aliens want to learn about Dad's fishing techniques." Alex started laughing and couldn't stop. His father was a weekend fisherman who considered catching salmon in British Columbia rivers a relaxing hobby. The idea of galactic military leaders learning human fishing techniques was absurd and wonderful. He composed his reply carefully. "Sarah, those government officials are legitimate. The galaxy wants to learn from Earth because it turns out our planet is more dangerous than anyone realized. Tell them I'm at the Galactic Defense Academy and can serve as a liaison. Also, warn them that alien species might find Earth challenging." As he sent the message, Alex looked out his quarters window at the alien stars. Tomorrow, he would continue teaching the galaxy's finest warriors how to adapt and survive using techniques he had learned as a child playing in the mountains of British Columbia. 6 months later, the first joint Earth Galactic training expedition landed in the Canadian Rockies. Alex stood on familiar ground, breathing air that smelled like home, surrounded by alien cadets wearing protective gear designed for hostile environments. "Welcome to Earth," he said as his fellow students looked nervously at the blue sky and green forests. "Try not to drink the water until you've been inoculated. And watch out for the wildlife. Most of it is probably harmless, but it's better to be safe." Commander, wearing a full environmental suit, approached cautiously. "Cadet, the atmospheric readings are intense. How did your species survive here long enough to develop civilization?" Alex, native of the galaxy's most dangerous planet and teacher to its finest warriors, smiled the same quiet smile that had started everything. "We got used to it." In the distance, a group of human children ran past on a hiking trail, laughing and chasing each other through terrain that would challenge galactic special forces. They paid no attention to the aliens in environmental suits who watched them with wonder and growing respect. After all, they were just playing outside on another ordinary day on Earth.